Let's do it. Let's. I love that.
Cool.
Rodent. That's so cool. Thank you. Love the rodent.
The rodent.
Love that they call it the rodent.
Big rodent. Hi, I'm Kelly from AMS, and I am here with Emi Grace. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Emi.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
We're very excited to have you.
Me too.
So rolling right into it, I think the thing I'm most curious about, I read that you wrote 150 songs over the course of the time that you were in high school. Is that true?
This is true. This is true.
Oh my God. Okay. How did you manage to write all of those songs over only 4 years?
So when I first discovered that I loved writing music, I was completely obsessed with writing music. I would leave class and go to the bathroom and for some reason I didn't know about voice memo. I don't know what happened there where the disconnect was. So I'd be on my phone, video facing on the bathroom floor and singing out my little melodies and stuff like that. But I don't read music. So basically I would spend all day writing these songs and writing on homework papers and stuff so I could come home and just produce them all out. And I just made so many songs. I just couldn't stop making them. I loved it so much.
How'd you first get into writing music?
I actually don't know. I think honestly, I got really into guitar and I got a loop pedal. And I think through that I would loop these riffs that I would make. And then through that I would just start I was really scared of singing when I was younger. But I would sing on them and I'd be okay, maybe one day when I'm brave enough, I could show someone and then they can sing on it. But then through that, I was wait, I kind of like this for me too. So I would then start singing on them and all these things and writing all these lyrics. And I was this is the best. And then it just started this whole animal in me.
When did you finally find that you were brave enough to show it to people?
Oh man, it's just so cliche, but it was definitely during COVID. I think that there was something about, it was during my senior year of high school. And I think it was something about everyone going away, and there was I grew up in kind of a smaller town, so you kind of know everyone since you're in kindergarten. So to kind of break out of nowhere and be I'm an artist was terrifying. So I think that it was really during COVID when everyone kind of went into their corners of the world, and I was maybe I'm just gonna do this now.
A nice little incubation period.
Yes, totally.
Now, did all of those songs end up seeing the light of the day, or did you start releasing new stuff?
So basically, 3 of those songs I put out in a tiny little EP that I don't even have to listen to it. It's not mixed, not mastered. I made it all when I was 15, but I called it Wallflower, and I put it out. And that was first time my parents had heard me sing. I'm really close with my brother. And he was what the heck? And any of my friends were what's this? Who's singing? And who made this thing? Why is your name on it? And I was it's me, it's my music. So 3 of those songs survived that era, and I put them out into this EP that's still out now. So it was kind of all happened at once, but the rest of them are just still on my laptop. I was actually producing exclusively on Ableton Lite.
Oh, wow.
Because I didn't know about any of their DAWs, and I also it was looking at the price, I was I can't afford that. So I had my 8 tracks on Ableton Lite, and I was this is great. But now obviously I see that is so hard to work with, just 8 tracks.
Right, yeah, that's really impressive.
But it was a really special time in my life because I really had to learn how to really be really simple and minimalistic with my production, because I was I only got 8 tracks. What are the 8 most important things? So sometimes I'd be singing while doing the drums at the same time. So everything was off time. I didn't know how to quantize. But I was so I'd do takes and takes and takes of trying to get it all on the same time. But I mean, it taught me so much about songwriting and my sound, and so I will always love those times.
Yeah, I'm sure that even your performance of everything gets tighter and tighter every time you do it.
Totally, and I fell in love with looping and just creating things and little creations like that, little snippet creations,
What's something that you learned at song 150 that you didn't know at song 1?
Oh man, I think that's actually a really, really good question. It's so funny because music for me, even when I remember the first moment I ever picked up a guitar, I was really young. and I picked it up upside down and lefty. And I was just strumming away, and like it was obviously, couldn't have sounded good. It was just a standard E tuning. But the playing, it was so fun that like the feeling is the exact same as when I'll play now. Obviously, more progressed than I was then. And it for me was the same thing with a song. Like the first song I made was just as exciting as like the 150th, if you will. But I think definitely something that I learned was more just how to like use my voice to better tell the story and where to like put emotion and pull back emotion and like, if anything, stuff like that. And then how to kind of move a song along where you bring in drums or bring a riser in here or something like that. So maybe more like fine-tuned production and storytelling elements.
Shaping the whole thing.
Yeah, I'd say so. Cool. But those, by the time I got to 150, it still was nothing that magical in there. So I definitely learned a lot more since then. But
so then how did you know that the songs that you're working with now you wanted people to see? Like, how did you pick those are the ones that are worth showing?
The 3 that I put out?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I see a lot of colors when I make music in my head.
Cool.
And for me, those are the ones that I just like were my favorite colors. And because I wasn't showing anyone my music. So for me, it was all like in my heart, like what resonated with me the most and what made me the most excited and what like honestly made me feel the best in my day. Because what I would do when I was making this music at school was, because I didn't read the music, I would get the image in my head. I'd like leave class, I'd be like pacing my, high school campus, and I'd get the color in my head. If it was like maybe like green and orange, oh, that's the vibe of this song. I would remember it all day, played soccer, all soccer practice, like singing it to myself in my head until I could get home and like recreate the exact color that I would see when I first came up with it in like second period. And that's how I would know that I accomplish the same song. So obviously through the day I'm having conversations with people and I'm like losing it. But when I would feel an emotion too, I could replicate the emotion that I was feeling with the colors that I saw in my heart based off of the song, if that makes any sense. So it was really like based on a lot of things. But
that's called synesthesia, right?
I think it is, yeah. It's something like that. And it's guided me fully through my life and my music, like 100%. And I think that's how I put those 3 songs out, was they were the ones that resonated the most with the colors I saw for myself, and that I would listen to, like when I was having a bad day, I would listen to the songs I was making because it made me feel better, because it matched how I was feeling with the emotions I was seeing with the colors. So weird to explain.
No,
but
it makes sense.
That is how it worked. And I think those were just the ones where I was like, oh, like these are the most me. But I've listened to some, from that time just for fun, and they're definitely better songs, but they didn't feel as like me. And that's like a big thing for me, is like it has to feel really rooted with myself, or else I can't go forward with any of it. Yeah.
Now, when you see the colors like that, is it like there's specific colors that correlate with specific notes, or is it just like an overall
Yeah,
feeling?
it's expanded a lot. Like when I was first playing, I would usually only see like green, blue, and orange, for example. And I would know usually like the second chord in anything would be like green. Any chord with tension would be orange, and then blue would kind of be the home chord. And I would kind of just like know that. So just in my head, I'd be like, oh, that must be that. But it was a great system, because as soon as I could match it up with the color that I knew it was supposed to be, then I knew I had the chord, even if my brain couldn't like hear it anymore.
Wow.
What it was supposed to be. If that makes any sense.
Is it like all tension is the same color, or is it like if you have like a 9th versus a 7th, it'll like be different colors?
It'll be different. Like a 7th is like green and yellow, but something like I love tension. Like I love transition. There's a song I have called Known Better that's coming out that is so much like there's tension all over it, and like I don't know like the specific words for it, but right when it hits like that last note before it switches back to home, that's all like red and orange, and that usually stays consistent for everything. Wow. Yeah.
Does that kind of inform what you do with the album art?
Yes. Oh my gosh. And what's so funny is that if the album art doesn't link up with the colors that I see for the song, it's almost like it makes me. I did that. It's not a song that I put out called "Cut You Loose," and like I couldn't get the colors all to work. It just like wasn't working with the picture. I'd be like, "Oh, the art's great. That'll work great," but in my head, I was like, "It's all wrong. It's it won't work." But I've learned to just like look past that and just be like, "I'm sure I just feel that way, but no one else feels that way."
Right, because they're not
seeing that I completely mismatched everything.
That's really cool, though.
Yeah.
Did you feel like that helped you learn a lot and like internalize like some of the theory that you said you didn't read music?
Yeah, and I still don't. I think it definitely is. I've toured last year. I toured a bit as a guitarist as well, And that's how I would just learn, all the songs in the set was just, I couldn't even remember the names. I could just remember, okay, this is the blue one. And at this half the song, I'm going to switch to, it's got to feel like brown, and then I'll hit the right thing. So it teaches me. It's kind of how I go about everything.
Wow. And is it just music or like other sounds too?
It's all sounds.
Wow.
It's all sounds. Like I hear like the amp fuzz over there, and I'm just seeing like different things, and like, but I like it like that. It really like, it's kind of fun, like going to a restaurant or something, and there's like little clinks happening, and I'm like getting
like
it
a
all.
visual representation
totally.
of the sound in the space. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Does that affect your content creation at all?
It does, in the sense of the same thing where it's like, I'd never like really been on camera at all growing up. So I remember the first time I like propped up a thing to film myself, I was like, what the heck? This looks terrible. I was just like, I'm sure everyone that's ever made content can relate to like the first time you watch yourself back in video.
Like, what am I doing?
It's just like, why do I look like that and not what I see? It's the worst. And I think that for me, like my outfit and the background and the setting, it would totally all play into it, because I was just like, this isn't right. And I think that's why I came to the conclusion, which ended up working well for me, of I would film at night, which was a terrible decision for my sleep, because I'll live a whole day, especially when it's like the other half a daylight savings and it's like not getting, dark right now till like 8 or 9, and I'll get home and I'll be like, all right, let's just get right into it. I'll get home at like 1 a.m. and I'm like filming till 4. But it's worth it, because I can be lit on my face and it leaves all this black space around, which for me just like leave space for my brain to fill with different things and visuals that I'm seeing for the song, if that makes any sense. And sometimes, like if I'm filming a solo that felt really like, dark or electronic, or there's like a lot very colorful, but I was filming in the sunlight, I was like, this doesn't quite match. You know what I mean?
Have you thought a lot about music videos and how that, like marrying kind of the visual and musical element, is that like something you're interested in pursuing?
Totally. In high school, I actually thought that I was going to be in more of the film world. I was like fascinated by photography and like making little videos, and I grew up skating. So I would make skate videos for like all my friends. And that's where a lot of my actual early music influence came from, was kind of lots of like 90s rock, like kind of a lot of punk stuff, like early 2000s, I listened to like a lot of No Effects and like bands like that, because that's what would be the best in the parts. And I'd watch all these favorite parts and the best music. But yeah, basically I was like obsessed with making little music videos. So I was actually first making music because I loved making the songs, but then I was also trying to score my own videos, my little, edits that I'd make of people or in the backyard, like whatever I was doing. So now when I totally switched gears, I was like, no, wait, I totally love the music the most. The idea of music videos excites me so much, because I already love creating like that too, and like thinking about what to add. And just with the colors and stuff, it's very exciting to think like, oh, I can like tailor a space to be like exactly the vibe of what I see. Right. And it feels special.
Right. You can like let other people into what you're seeing.
Totally. And they probably won't see it at all. But for me, it's like, I know, and then I can explain it like, no, this is because I see it like this. You know what I mean?
When you're collaborating with other people, do you ever find it's difficult to explain because you have such a specific image in your head of like what you're going for?
I never usually do. Like usually it's just kind of like, I just go with the flow. I'll like accept, because that's, I think creating alone for so many years, it was interesting to start collaborating with people because I was like, okay, wait, like, how is this gonna, and they also bring a different energy to the session as well, which gives me a whole other sphere of color. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, I love collaborating, and like sometimes most of my favorite things that have ever come out of a song has been when someone just brings one of their own brilliant ideas to it, and it's like, that's perfect. And I learned to adjust, to like reframe things sometimes for, okay, this will work great now because this new idea is here. And even though it isn't in line with like, someone will throw in a new idea and it'll change the color of the song in my head. But sometimes I'll just learn to like the new color and not get attached to what it used to be. I know that sounds so funny, but it's genuinely like, it's so funny to talk about. But it's really how I create, it's like, is this still in line with what we're doing? And if it veers off to even like that better, is it a little more exciting?
Right. It can get easy to like get attached to like the image you have of something.
Oh, totally. Especially if it's a color like I don't really enjoy. Like I didn't really like orange very much growing up. So when I'd see orange, I was like, what the heck?
Oh, I can't sound orange.
Can't do that. But now some of my favorite songs will just turn out orange. And I'm like, okay, like this is like,
I'm embracing it.
I'm into it. I'm into the orange.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about the Trashy Tone Thursday thing.
Yes.
So why do you feel like you're attracted to like trashier sounds in guitar?
I just always, I mean, you even saw me, I was like, a little more distortion. Like, I think there's something, it might be a colors thing, but like I remember one of the first solos I ever heard was the Beat It solo. And then I also heard Eruption. And I was like, my brain was just like exploding. Like there were just like pinch harmonics flying around, like so much tapping. And when that happens, it's just like my brain's just like lighting up. And I think that, I don't know, it's just, I just love the tone. Like I've always just that crunch and the power, and it's just like, I smile even just like talking about it because it's just like, it's so exciting for me to just hear. And I think that's why I just like all the music I loved listening to growing up. I love Tom Morello. Like I just love like the chaos of guitar, and it's like, because it makes no sense. It's like this like thing, it's like this wooden thing with like these like metal pieces, and it's like, it shouldn't make sense, but it's like the coolest thing ever. And it's like, I'm just like obsessed with like what you can bring out of the guitar with the different tones, and it's just like you can shape it to a totally differment thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, you can get sounds out of there that you never would have imagined.
Crazy. Sometimes I'll like scratch my ring on the string, and I'm like,
whoa.
What? So I think that was a big thing for me, was like learning to like step outside of the box of like, and I got a lot of hate for it for a long time, and it was kind of like, and I was never controversial growing up, so I remember people hating on me being like, this sounds terrible. I was like, oh my God. What it does. But I learned to just stick with it because it brings me so much joy to just like, I just love high gain, high distortion, like any of that. I just, for some reason, I just love the way it sounds. And the Trashy Tone Thursdays stuff is like, it's just so trashy. It came because I love when I'm producing with like a trashy kit, like a trashy hi-hat. I just love how it's so messy and stuff like that. And I was like, it's kind of a trashy tone. And I just fell in love with it. And I go crazy on that tone. I'm like going in and just adding everything. And I love it.
It's crazy how the thing that can be like your signature thing is also the thing that could like bring you a lot of hate in the beginning.
Right. It was an interesting process for sure. And I think that it was hard for me at first to tell like what, and I also though had so much, you know, support too. Like some of my people I look up to so much, you know, I was getting to contact them, and like there were just so many cool things from it. And it taught me so much too about just like, just walk on your path, you know, don't worry about what people say. But there was a lot of pushback for people just, you know, being like, oh, like, that's not how guitar's meant to be played. I wore like a Van Halen shirt once, and someone was like, Van Halen would hate this. And I was like,
name 3 songs.
Don't do that. Like, it's like, it's sad. But I think that's what's so funny about being on the internet is I didn't really get Instagram until I was like a senior in high school. So I wasn't used to really, and I never shared music. I was never used to like much feedback. I just was always creating for me. So I had to learn how to like, get feedback and just fully put the blinders on and just be like, okay, whatever. Like,
say what you want to say.
Right, this works for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think being a woman on the internet, you're bound to get a lot of hate.
Oh, especially playing guitar too.
Yeah.
That was a very interesting that some of the comments would just be so intense, or I was just like, that doesn't even have to do with guitar anymore.
Right.
Just like, and it's so funny because little do people know, I'm just like, I'm just me. I'm just behind the camera, like propping it up in the low corner of my bedroom, like making these videos. And it's like, people are just like furious. And I remember for the longest time, I was just like, why are you so mad?
They're
like,
threatened. They're threatened.
Right? I was like, what did I do? Like, I'm just literally like enjoying myself. And I never intended when I posted these videos for anything to happen. I started out an artist first. I was never going to go online classic, but I was like, I can't do it. Like, it's not me. Like, I don't get the internet. And then I realized, oh no, you know, to do this thing, I got to probably get online. And no one really knew that I played guitar. So I was like, oh, just, you know, post some guitar videos, just as a little portfolio for, you know, when I'm at shows and people can go see, oh yeah, she plays guitar and all that stuff. And then it just like turned into this thing. And I was like, oh shoot, like I got to ride this wave.
Oh God, now I have a thing.
Right. And I'm so dang grateful for it. I mean, it's been such a fun thing for me to do. And like, I love just, you know, I film my videos, put it up, and it's like getting to connect with so many people has been like so freaking special, and like talk to people and like talked about guitar all day. Like it's like the best ever. But yeah, there was definitely, you know, being a woman in this specific field, which is I think a lot due to social media expanding so much where it's not as much of a shock anymore to see a girl holding an electric guitar. But even when I was just, you know, a year ago, I think I really started this series, it was like a weird thing. And there were so many people like, oh, like you guys are only clicking this because she's a girl. And I was like,
I hate that.
Oh, it's the worst comment you can get because it's just like, I'm like, is that true? Like, am I like, so I'd go to jams or shows and I'd be like shy to play for a little bit because I was like, man, like, I'm just a girl, and like, they're just not telling me that, but I'm actually not good. But then I finally was like, same thing. Who cares? I've never played guitar or made music, you know, for someone to think it's good. I've always done it because it's just like, I love it so much. And for the people that love it too, I love sharing that experience. You know what I mean?
And then you get to be inspiring for like other younger little girls who go, oh, I didn't know that was an option for me.
Which I love. Like literally, like, it's my favorite thing in the world when someone, or especially a little girl, comes up to me and is like, oh my gosh, I just got a guitar because of your videos. And I'm like, yes.
Like, yes, keep
do
playing.
it, play it, never put it down. You know, it's such an empowering instrument, and all instruments are, but I gravitated towards guitar. I love it.
Yeah, it was one of the most magical instruments I ever picked up too.
Right.
Do you remember your first solo you ever learned?
Yes, I learned the solo on Rude. Is that the song? What was it called? I don't even remember who sings it, but it was that pop song, like, why you gotta
so by Magic, I think.
By Magic. And I remember I heard that, I was like, whoa. I was like, that is crazy. And I was like, remember like in my room, like just like figuring it out. And I was like getting it all together. And I loved it. I was completely obsessed. And then after that, I learned the Comfortably Numb solo. And I was like, this is way more my speed. I like loved this so much. And I like loved David Gilmour and like all stuff like that. So those were my first two solos.
Do you think you could attempt to play one of them now?
I actually don't remember either of them somehow. But I'm trying to think what other solo that I could play that would be one that'd be in a similar vein. I'll say I fell in love with Ben's after the Comfortably Numb solo. So I have my favorite solo that I have. I could do one of mine with like lots of bends.
Yeah,
that might be inspired
no
by.
pressure.
I gave you a quick one. It might sound kind of silly because there's no music, but I'll give you a try. And then it keeps going and more whammy craziness happens, but it's just that initial like that I love, that I feel like I got from David, just like doing those crazy bends.
That's awesome.
Whoa.
That's super cool. You mentioned Tom Morello. If you had to put together like a Mount Rushmore of your favorite guitarists, who would you pick?
Yes. Okay. Love this question. Tom Morello, of course. Van Halen.
Okay.
Stevie Ray Vaughan. David Gilmour.
When you start writing a solo, like what is the first thing? Do you like try to sit down and write a solo, or do you think of something and then go, I gotta like capture it?
I'll be playing something and then I'll just be like, or I'll hear something and I'm like, oh, I'll see color, or I'll see like, usually I can hear the whole solo and then I'll just be like, that's what a lot of Trashy Tone Thursdays is like, I'll make this beat and I'm like, what's like the weirdest shit I can make? And then after that, I'll just like sit down and just like quiet my mind and then I just like hear it. And usually my first thing that I hear, I'm like, okay, that's what this solo is meant to be. Because I'm making a lot of, it's like every week I'm kind of coming up with a new one. So even just for my own music too, it's like I sit down and I'm like, what does this need to be? And I have things that I love. And like, sometimes people are like, oh, like you're always doing the same stuff. And I'm like, this is just my thing. You know what I mean? Like I love doing like taps and like using the whammy. So I try and get my favorite features in every solo that I have. And I'll just go through, I'll just literally, quiet my mind and I'll just like sound it out real quick and then I'll just go for it and just like see when I like it, practice it a bunch and then let the magic moments of it kind of like come out, you know what I mean? So usually I'll just hear it, play it a few times, and then like if I'll hit a random pinch harmonic somewhere, be like, oh, I should actually totally do that in the solo. Right. And then I'll kind of just remember
Lock that in,
Totally.
Is that process different when you write for other people? Like I knew you were a writer for Songfinch at one point.
Yeah, that's definitely different. So Songfinch is just totally like more lyrics I'm putting in the song. Like at that point, I'm not Emi Grace anymore. I'm like just, what, I'm delivering their request, which is also so fun because I'm just still getting to use music to like be like, okay, like I'm gonna just like bring someone else's story to life, which is so fun for me. Like I think like music is just like, for me, it's like in any way that I'm creating and I'm having a great time, even for stuff like that, what's so fun is getting to like actually sing and not do like rock singing or like, electronic singing. It's just like, I'm just singing a song and I get to imagine what, the customer will be like receiving that song. It's been really special. I did that a lot when I was probably a couple years ago getting ready to because I left college after a year and a half. And that honestly was able to help me support me leaving school because I was just going, I was like an animal on there. I was just like getting all these Songfinches because I used to work at a t-shirt shop. in my hometown. That was like a, little t-shirt shop. And it was a great job, but I wasn't making enough money to support myself fully up and leaving to come here. So I was just like grinding Songfinch, and I was like, yes. And I was able to come on out.
Well, that's awesome. It seems like you worked really, really hard to get where you are so young. Where did you go to school?
I went to Santa Barbara City College.
Okay.
I was going to transfer to UCLA to do law.
Wow.
But then that obviously was not for me. For me, it was always like, okay, well, if I can't, I was majoring in criminology there. And I was like, if I can't do music, I'm just going to really dive into the opposite, and just do music on my free time. So I don't like taint the world and don't live a parallel to it. But I just couldn't stay away. I actually started working a bit in sync too in the middle of that college year. I somehow got lucky with a break, and I was like, oh my God, this is my chance. Like I'm literally at that point, I was like doing sync, I was doing Songfinch, I worked at that t-shirt shop, that's some other like random jobs, and I just like saved everything I could. And I have the best freaking mom. Like she was like always so big on me going to college, and like she didn't go. So she was like, just was so important to her that I went, and I just, told her my passion and everything. And she was like, all right, go and never look back, just give it everything you have. That's exactly what I did. And I just have never looked back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You mentioned like tainting the world or being scared that would happen. Are you still scared of that? Do you feel like it has happened at all?
I don't like tainting my music world.
Yeah.
I don't think it has. It's funny because if anything, learning more about the music business side of things, definitely, there's points where I'm just like, man, like, why does it have to be like that? Or why do we have to talk to each other like that? It feels so much more of like an exchange than like sometimes people remembering like, this is art, this is like such a special thing. But I think that ultimately because I create from such like a pure place within, that the truth of it can never get tainted. You know what I mean? But there are certain days where I wake up and I'm like, playing and I'm like, what is happening? Or I'll, show someone a song and it's like, it's viewed from this place of like, not like the artistry of it, but like, how can this be sold or marketed, or does this make sense? And it's been a really interesting way to learn how to create without thinking of like, does this make sense? You know what I mean? Right. But I've learned how, and I've learned to just like take some time alone to just like, have a couple of days where I'm like, I'm just going to create for fun. And then obviously I'll use a lot of the music that I make for fun. But that's kind of a good exercise that I'll do.
Yeah, that's a really hard line to ride there between like marketing yourself, because you have to, and wanting to make things that are authentic. And
right, because it is it's a business, and I think that's what I understood is it's like, but at the same time, like this business opens up the door to so many amazing dreams and realities. So not to, poo-poo on it too much, because there's lots of good that comes from it. But I think that it is always that balance of like, how do you be an artist and create the most pure place you can, and then enter the business side where you got to be strategic, and stuff like that. And that's been a really interesting thing for me to ride. But like, I love live more than anything. That's like my favorite part about being an artist. And I think that I understood the more that I do the business, the more I can then shift it back to just be live and just have my, dreams expand in that front.
Right, and then focus on what you really want to focus on.
Totally. If I could just work super hard now, then I can just hopefully, get close to where I want to be.
Right. But you're obviously great at branding with yourself, with the Trashy Tone thing specifically. Did you know you were like pioneering something when you started that?
No idea. When people are like, oh, we've never heard this before. I was like, yes, you have. I was like, you're just playing electric guitar. I had no idea. And I remember it was crazy for me to watch people kind of like doing my thing a little bit. And it was like the coolest thing ever. I was like, this is so cool. I didn't realize that anything was going on. I was just doing my thing, Like, if anything, I was like making mistakes and just like going on, And I was like, maybe that's what's different, is that I'm not like making this sound so perfect before I post it. Because that's what I love about live. I love that it's like when you watch someone's live show, it's like you're getting it all. Like, I don't love to use too many tracks, and no issue with anyone that does, but I love, honestly, when someone hears me make a mistake, because then they know, even subconsciously, like, that's really happening.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
Refreshing.
Yeah, I really like knowing that, because I think that's what makes everybody walk away feeling more magic, is like when they understand, like, no, nothing's perfect. Like, I'm just literally me and you're you. I'm just doing this, and then you're just, you know what I mean? It's like
But it's real.
Yeah, it's super real, and I love that a lot.
Yeah, I think you can tell based on your facial expressions, specifically like, while you're playing, that it is all real. Like, you're into it. You're focused on the music.
I'm so involved.
Yeah.
I'm so involved. When I make those videos, it's like I give it, because I'm so grateful too for the people that watch, and I'm like, give this my all, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just gonna be in this moment right now and create this content, you know?
Yeah, you're performing like you're live even when it's taped. And I respect that. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. I think it's just, I love guitar so much. I just love it so much.
It comes through. We actually saw you perform live once before, our whole team at NAMM. It was our first time there. Was
Me
it
too.
Okay,
My first time too. Loved it.
How was that experience for you?
It was great. I am a gearhead, massive gearhead. So like, I didn't know what to expect walking in. I just heard there's this magical land with gear, and I was like, what?
Like, ooh.
And I walked in, and it was just like, sure enough, it was like seeing celebrities. I was like seeing like Ernie Ball and like all my faves, and like, it was so fun. It was the best ever to just go in there and be around all the music and instruments and like cool people and artists. And then, of course, getting to play there was so fun, and like, you know, meet people, and it was the best. It was the freaking best time. I didn't even realize I was walking around so much. Didn't even get tired till I got home. Like, after 3 days, I was like, what the heck?
Until you took your one shoe off.
Yeah, I took one shoe off. I was like, that was like a marathon, but it was so fun. I loved it.
You mentioned that you filmed Trashy Tone with one shoe on, though.
The secret is out.
I don't want to expose you.
No, well, so basically, I have my camera facing me like this, and I'll be like this, and I'll kind of be like sitting like this, and it's late at night, you know, my feet are, dogs are barking, I've been wearing shoes all day. So I'll put one shoe on my left one to look nice, complete the outfit, but then my right foot is just also wearing a shoe, and it's, you know, it's like bashing up against my wall. And I hit a point in this whole journey where I was like, okay, no one can see that thing. I'm gonna take it off. So I'll just put a slipper on, or I'll just do something, and it makes me feel like I'm still like casual in my room, because it's really funny, like sitting there and like no one's usually home when I'm filming. I'm just like in the dead of night filming these videos fully clothed, and like my shoes are on. I'm like, it's really funny. So sometimes just take a shoe off, and there've been times where there's been like there's like a little close call where like my heel will like slip into frame. But thankfully, when I post, for some weird reason, all of my videos post in really low quality, and like they kind of get zoomed in. Don't know what that is. Haven't been able to fix it, but for some reason, no one seems to care. But it's like drives me insane. One time there's a close call where my heel did make it in, like my socked heel. No shoe in sight, but it like zoomed in just in time. Like Instagram like saved me, so no one knew.
Thank God.
It's really the little things, so no one notices. Right? Imagine the scandal.
The comments, her heel.
Oh man, leave it to Instagram though.
Yeah,
you never know.
They notice things. They do.
Feral creatures on there. Some of the most wonderful people you'll ever meet, and then some people that are just like,
it's true.
So rude.
The dregs of society. Yeah.
So true.
I was gonna ask you what the last song you listened to was.
Hold the Line by Toto.
Hold the Line by Toto. Wow.
Love that song so much. That solo, the guitar tones, even like how the drums come in is like, I'll always be like on my steering wheel trying to like get that timing right, but it comes off at such like a weird, but the way it starts is like so off. I've like rewinded like 15, 16 times sometimes and just been like, how do I get that? But it's really the guitars in that song and the colors I see are like, it's perfect. It's like, I can listen to it 100,000 times and it's like, gives me the best feeling every time.
You had that answer like ready to go.
No, it's like, I know it because I was like in the car and I was like, what should I listen to? It was in the Uber and I was like, I'm just gonna put on some Hold the Line right now.
Are you like a song looper?
Yes.
Like you listen to the same song again and again and
again? If
again?
I find a song I like I will listen to it like 15 times and never get tired of it. I just love it so much.
See, I'll listen to it like 25 times and then I can never hear it again.
Then it's done. Then it comes on and you're like,
like I hate it now. Actually.
Right. I've been there with music. I've definitely been there where I've like, I totally overplayed this and I'm so disappointed that I did because it didn't have to happen like this. I could have just like paced myself with this amazing song and I've ruined it. Definitely been there.
Does that happen with your own music? Like when you're performing it, are you like, I'm tired of this now? Or
live, not usually. Well, a little, but not usually because the more I get to know a song, the more I can perform it, which is really fun. And I can like add fun little tricks and like where it'll usually just be the riff, then I can go in and like do lead stuff on top of the riff or like have a lot of fun with it. My own music listening though, absolutely. Like I can listen to one of my songs maybe 4 times and then I'm like, oh no, I can't believe I ever thought I was gonna put this out. Like this is so bad. But then I'll kind of be like, okay, maybe I'm just like psyching myself
Getting
out.
in my head about it.
I have an incredible manager and he is always just like, no, like he's always hyping me up, making sure that my brain's in check with those kinds of things. Cause I'm the first one to be like, maybe this is not right. Right.
Yeah, it's easy to doubt yourself, especially creatively.
Yeah, I think that's just being an artist. I think that's what it is. I think that if it was like, if I was so in love with every song that I made, I'd be more worried because I'd be like, I am so self-centered. Right, I mean, this is terrible. Right, so I don't mind that I have issues with some of the music because honestly, like, when I create a song and I'm ready to give it out, it's not for me anymore. You know, once I even show one person one of my songs, it's no longer for me because at that point I'm going to accept their opinions about it, and then it becomes the bit, you know, how can I make this the best creation to present so that people really enjoy it, that I enjoy, you know, that it represents me. So once it hits that point where it's out, I'm like, people are going to totally, this will become their song now. And then that gives me a lot of peace too, to think about that people will incorporate it in their life and in their moments and like, you know, what it will mean to them. Because it's totally different than what it'll mean for me.
Yeah.
You know, so.
They interpret it however they want.
Exactly. I'm just like, you know what? It's all good.
Is there any piece of gear that you use often when writing or that you feel like has informed your writing more than other gear?
Ooh, that's a good question. Love the rat pedal. That thing is like amazing. Actually, Teenage Engineering makes something called OP1.
I love the OP1.
It's amazing. That thing is like the best.
Fun.
Love Teenage Engineering. It will just, even the drums, I mean, the drums are phenomenal on there. Everything on that thing is just like, I can bring it with me anywhere and just be like instantly inspired. But really, it's guitar. I just have so much fun messing around with guitar and crazy tones. Beatronics also makes phenomenal pedals that, like, if I'm ever like, oh my gosh, I need like a moment of inspiration, I'll just be like, boom, gonna, you know, use this, and it'll just always, every time it'll get me inspired for something. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And last question, if there's nothing else that you want to talk about, what is one big bucket list thing on your career that you still want to achieve? Oh,
snap. There's so many. I have so much I want to do. For me, it's all shows based. I just want to play the biggest shows I could ever play. I don't care how I get in there, but like playing Madison Square Garden one day would blow my freaking mind. I love the Knicks. And I just always am walking by there and I'm like, maybe one day I'll be in there. I don't care how I get in there. I just like...
You gotta break in.
Even just sound checking in a place like that, like I can't even imagine what it would sound like to just hear guitar going through all of that. Like, it'd just be the best thing in the world. So we'll see. I always feel so silly saying something like that though, because it's like, it feels like saying like, oh yeah, like I want to be the president one day. Like, you know what I mean? Like something so hard and, you know, but I think for me, it's like, I have so much energy for this career and I like literally, it's so funny because you can never guarantee what will happen, but like all I know is so cliche, but I will like literally not stop working until I've done everything I can to at least try. And I love it enough to do that. I'm really grateful to like have found something that I love so much that I can work that hard at it. You know what I mean? So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I'll be sound checking in there one day and I'll be like, oh my God.
There's going to be like a fan edit of you after playing Madison Square Garden of like these words from this interview like 10 years from now.
Oh my God, I would freak out. I'd be like, oh my God. So we'll see. That's what's exciting about the future is you just literally never know what can happen. So
a huge thank you to Emi for being here with us. Go follow her social channels and stream her music. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And to check out all the gear mentioned in this video, head on over to AmericanMusical.com.